Welcome back to SIHH Live, to our TV studio, where during the week of the Salon, we meet the people of Haute Horlogerie and listen to their stories and ideas. This session will be a presentation by Lange Söhne about their history, their present, and their future. It's going to be hosted by Piers Gibbon. Piers, welcome.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Bruno, and of course a very warm welcome to Geneva. We are delighted to be here at the SIHH 2018, and I'll be interviewing the CEO of Lange Söhne, but really we're here to tell a story. It's an amazing story, so just relax and enjoy yourselves wherever you happen to be in the world, because this is the story of the refounding of Lange Söhne, and it is of course the story of Walter Lange, and it is of course also the story of the future of this amazing company. So today you will get some amazing opportunities to see footage that hasn't been seen for a long time of that refounding just after the fall of the Berlin Wall. We'll take you through the watchmaker's eyes tour of the 1815 homage to Walter Lange, and you'll get a chance to look at what some are saying is the hit of the Salon, the triple split. It is an explicit complication, so we have to give you a warning on that one. And there is so much more to see. Our aim is to give you just a flavor of this exquisite feast of the 2018 Salon, the amazing Salon de la Haute Horlogerie here in Geneva. So let's get the view from the top. Wilhelm, what does it look like to you? And could you give, for everyone here, a level of your exhaustion at this point?
Actually, I'm very glad to be here because it's the first time that I'm not within these tiny little four walls that I spent the last 4 days in. You know, we give interviews a lot, we give television, but it's predominant you sit in a room, and the air isn't great here, I have to say that. And you know, on Monday you're very excited, and your level of excitement comes a bit down. So thanks God it's Thursday.
Keep breathing. We will provide you with pure oxygen pumped into this room. So people in the room may have questions, but I have some questions here. And of course, there's a lot of good news in this salon. You've got great reviews, things have gone very well. But good news goes along with some hard facts in that last year at this same salon, your founder, Walter Lange, passed away. And I remember seeing people rushing to the Lange Söhne stand to pay their respects. So that's how the world of watchmaking responded to it. But that's outsiders. How did it feel for you?
Look, I mean, he was 92 years old, but he was always of good health. And you know, you saw him regularly, so he was walking around, and that was so important for the company. So even, you know, I mean, nobody lives forever, as we all know. As the news arrived Tuesday morning, it was difficult, you know, to motivate all people to keep going, but that actually would have been the one advice that he had given to me, saying the show must go on.
The show must go on. And I think the question must go on, which is, how will you respond to carrying that legacy forward? But I'm going to give you a few moments to think about your answer, because as I said, as I promised, here is some footage that shows the story of the refounding of Lange Söhne.
Ich habe nicht daran gedacht, dass es je wieder dazu kommt, dass wir lange Uhren bauen.
If you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Und dann kam doch völlig unvorbereitet die Wiedervereinigung. Am 7. Dezember 1990 habe ich die Firma neu gegründet. Ich bin wohl mit den Worten angetreten, wir wollen wieder die besten Uhren der Welt bauen. Es ist eine Genugtuung, dass es wieder da ist.
Ja, Walter Lange war für uns Uhrmacher und ich denke mal für alle anderen, denke ich mal, ein großes Vorbild. Also was er da geschaffen hat, den Wiederaufbau unserer Firma, und das war natürlich eine Meisterleistung. Ja.
Der war halt immer mit dem Herzen dabei, ne? Also der hat Herzblut für seine Arbeit und für seine Firma gehabt.
Ich versuche, die Tradition, die alte Traditionen fortzusetzen und auch weiterzugeben.
Ich bin selber auch nicht anders gestrickt. Ich will genauso diese Tradition einfach immer weiterführen, aber im Einklang eben mit Neuerungen, mit neuer Technik, auch ein Risiko einzugehen.
Und das ist der Wille, sich immer weiterzuentwickeln. Also nicht stehen zu bleiben in seinem Wissen und als Mensch natürlich auch.
Und so wünsche ich mir nur, dass die Firma Lange weiterhin recht gute Uhren baut und dass Glashütte seinen Ruf als gute Uhrenstadt weiter verteidigt.
Wow. There's that famous quote from Walter Lange, "Never stand still." It sounds like, from what you were saying earlier, that you have not indeed been standing still. And I suppose one thing to ask on top of that is, how have you honoured his memory?
You know, you do that whole week here at the SIHH, then you got back last year, and then we had to organize the funeral. And you know, we live in the mountains, it was winter, it was very cold, so you have to prepare a lot of things. And then as the whole thing was done, we were sitting back and thinking, how do you honor somebody that actually, you know, without him I wouldn't stand here, at least not talking about our Lange Söhne. And I think we had some good ideas, and one particularly good idea.
And that particular good idea is the jumping seconds. But the question that I just have to ask is, you are in charge, luckily, of one of the finest watchmaking teams in the world. So you could have asked them to make the most complicated watch on the planet. Instead, you chose a relatively modest, I mean, it's still complicated, but a relatively modest jumping seconds mechanism. Why was that?
And I admit guilty, because you asked for that all the time. And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Lange, we can't do it. For a very simple reason, because you know, you can only ask a certain price for a complication like this, but actually it's quite difficult to achieve. So it would have been never a business case. And that's why I said no as he asked for it, and that's why we actually then said, we'll do it to honor him, and that's why we choose that specific watch. And we used what he actually also always requested to use. It's a patent from Emil Lange, one of his ancestors, and it's actually the first patent we registered in 1816. So that's why we choose that particular complication in this particular watch.
And it's part of the Lange family tradition. Now, another part of the Lange family tradition is to respect the art of the watchmaker. So we decided that the best way to give a tour around the 1815 homage to Walter Lange was to look at it through the eyes of a watchmaker.
So here we have our 1815 homage to Walter Lange in pink gold. The mechanism of this watch was developed 150 years ago by Ferdinand Adolf Lange. It was further developed by Richard Lange, and then the final version was built by Amy Lange. So there's a lot of family tradition behind this watch. This mechanism in here works very similar. So at 6 o'clock we have a small seconds hand which runs continuously, and in the center we have our jumping seconds hand. The dial design is very classical, so it features a railway track minute scale and polished hands. They're both being inspired by the design of the old traditional pocket watches. So here at the back, you see this big wheel located on top of a three-quarter plate. This is our third wheel jump. So this wheel stores the whole energy which is needed for the second jump, and at the same time it causes the second hand to stop. Then here we have the mechanism for starting and stopping the seconds jump. So there's a very long lever engaging into a column wheel. So when I activate this button, you can see this column wheel moving, the seconds wheel stops jumping.
That's Robert Hoffman giving us just a little insight into how it works.
Yeah.
And of course the thing he's focusing there is that it can be used of course, as a stopwatch. So, like the other 1815 family, it could be a wonderful reward for a doctor taking a heartbeat measurement, or indeed anyone who has a heartbeat would probably feel very happy to be given that watch. So, it's a handsome watch. Who do you think it's aimed at? Who do you think will appreciate it?
I'm pretty sure, you know, very much in line with what you said early on. So many people came to us last year to express their condolences. And I think, you know, every collector on this planet, every watch collector will be very keen to have one of these only 260-something watches.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm pretty sure that will be the clear group of people that will go crazy about this watch.
And it is a collector's watch. And I just wanted to show this beautiful family there. So you have it in the 3 metals.
Yes.
But why did you choose the particular numbers of watches to release?
Again, you know, and as I said, I'm such a happy man because I have a team that took on that challenge. And I have to share that with you, you know, to develop a complete new movement within 9 months. You know, I don't want to do that every year. That's something which you should really use because that's enormous stress. But it's not only the people from construction or the people from production that worked on it. The whole company took an interest into that specific project. So instead of doing what every brand does, 100, 100, and 100, you know, or 200, 500, thousands, we said, no, it has to be linked to Mr. Lange. And last year, we were actually 27 years, thanks to his braveness in business, and that's why we decided to build 27 yellow gold watches. That was actually his preferred metal. 27 in yellow gold. We founded us at the 7th of December, 1990. That's why there will be 90 pink gold watches. And that is to the day, again, he was very clever, to the day, 145 years after Ferdinand Adolf Lange founded the company the first time. So that's why we have this, I admit that, quite unusual number of limited.
And they are unusual, and that caught my eye when I saw that press release, because it's like you're embedding the history of the company and the history of Walter Lange himself inside those numbers. It's a lovely tribute to him and also a great offering to the collectors. But of course, that's not the only number, because we have this, the unique number 1. What's this?
There is one other thing which was very important for Mr. Lange, and that was the next generation, and specifically children that are growing up in less privileged environments than probably, you know, all of us. So we decided to make one unique piece, and if I would get 10 euro for every time a collector asked me to create a stainless steel watch, I wouldn't need to work for money, at least. Not so. That's probably the most raised request in my 8 years running the company. And then black enamel. That's the other thing which everybody goes crazy on. So we thought we combine the two things. So we make a stainless steel watch, which is probably the least expensive material, but it's the rarest for us, and a black enamel dial. We combine the two, and we put it all on auction for a good reason.
For a charity.
True.
And I just have to stop you there, because what you're saying is you hear from everyone in the market, or everyone you meet, they say, oh, I would love to buy a steel watch, and you hear them and you listen to them, and then they say, I would love to buy a watch that is with a black enamel face, and you hear them, and then your response is to produce one. That's a wonderful way of looking at the world.
Yeah, it's not clever marketing, I know
It may not be clever marketing, but for that one watch, that is going to fetch a price and a half.
I hope so.
And where's that money going to go?
It'll go to an organization called Children Action that really takes care of less privileged children. It's medical aid, it's educational things, so they really take care. And we choose the organization because the generous founder of that is taking care of all admin costs. So none of the money that we will achieve will be used for flights, hotels, administration. Every single cent will go right through the children in need.
That is wonderful. And that's a very generous offer from the charity as well, because it does enable you to stand here talk to the camera and say every single cent will be going to charity, which is a wonderful offer. So you've also managed to hook in the services of a rather famous auctioneer.
Yes.
How did you do that?
Well, I have to say we have a close relationship on top of that, and he's a big fan of our brand. So that's why we asked our Bucks and Phillips to help us in orchestrating that, because we are not expert in auction. They certainly are. You've heard about the Paul Newman watch. I think he knows how to generate a good price.
I think that's a fairly safe assumption there.
And he promised something, you remember?
Yes. We had a dinner with him and he said, we asked him the question, if it's for a charity, do you put a little extra effort into it? And he said, I will cry my soul out of my body to get the best price. So that is a human body complication that we're really looking forward to seeing. When will we be seeing that?
It's actually the spring auction in Geneva, and that takes place the 12th and the 13th of May.
Right, fantastic. It's going to be very much worth watching that.
I'll be there.
But don't put your hand up. That could be very expensive.
For a good reason.
Oh, maybe you'll be bidding against you. So, it is a wonderful thing that we got Aurel doing that. And which of the new watches do you think this year would have caught the eye of Walter Lange especially?
It's of course, he always wanted us, that's why the Never Stand Still is so embraced in the brand. He always wanted us to go the extra mile, and for sure the triple split is the extra mile.
Triple split. Okay, so let's get a really close look at the triple split. We commissioned a TV company who specialize in getting cameras inside watches, and as you watch this film, know that there is no CGI, no special effects, nothing except camera inside beautiful watch. And we found that the response to this watch has been quite intense. People have been fainting from pleasure. So we'd like to warn you, those watching at home, this is an horological advisory. Explicit complications may be seen. Have fun as it comes to the end and you see the mechanism. It is, I believe, a work of art. Relax now, and though everyone's safe in the audience and there's doctors attending at the back if anyone has a problem, it is beautiful. It's made an enormous hit at this fair. But what would you say? I mean, your team must be just so proud of this.
They are indeed. And that only doesn't look complicated. It really is. And sometimes it's the things that you cannot really display here that makes it truly complicated. So the one thing which was really challenge is to have all that in a wearable size. And I don't have big wrists, and it's around my wrist now for 6 days, and I can assure you it actually works very well. If that's not difficult enough, 55 hours of power reserve, that is an achievement because, as I said, we don't have more real estate. It's quite a small watch for what it has to do.
And it's all packed into a beautiful small package. And as is our tradition, the most important person to hear from is, of course, Robert Hoffman, the watchmaker himself.
So here we have this year's highlight piece, our triple split in white gold. It features a triple rattrapant mechanism where you can measure 2 times up to 12 hours. So let me just walk you through the displays. In the center, we have our split second indication. On the right side, we have the split minute indication. This is a jumping minute counter. At 12 o'clock, we have our split hour indication. At 6 o'clock, we have the power reserve indication. And on the left side, we have a second display which is running continuously. Here with the pusher at 2 o'clock, you can start and stop the mechanism. With the pusher at 4 o'clock, you can reset the mechanism or you can activate the flyback function. And with the push at 11 o'clock, you can activate the rattrapant function. At the moment, the blue hands, our rattrapant hands, they don't count any time. The silver hands, they are counting time. So when I push now the rattrapant button, they will fly together and count 1 time. So when I push the button again, the hands will start to split. And in a few moments' time, you can see the minute hand splitting, and in a few more minutes' time, you see the hour hand splitting.
Yeah, luckily we don't wait for the hours to split.
No. I was going to say, what's coming up next? So, I didn't realize you had the chance to wear this watch for the whole of this week. So do you have a sense of what someone could use that ability to split time and measure 2 different lap times?
Oh, there are many things, but I won't share all of them with you. And I think we had a funny story. We always have on Monday the cocktail, and I actually gave that as the challenge to everybody to come up with a challenge using the triple split and drinking beer. I will not share the results with you because most of them are actually not good for the open public, but they were very creative, I have to say that.
The Lange Söhne team having fun.
It wasn't the team, it was more our customers, journalists, and I've seen even some people from Richemont raising their hands and coming with interesting propositions.
Excellent. And will they remember enough of it to write a good review at the end? So it seems to me that your team are really pushing the envelope. They, last year it was the double split. This is where are we going next? And what did you tell them when they came up with this? Were you proud of them?
It's again, because if you put all that together, it's a masterpiece. And again, if you ask me what illustrates that never stand still in our company, then it's watches like this. We launched the double split 2004, and to today, nobody copied it. So we could have said that's good enough, because if nobody is following, obviously nobody dares doing it. Why doing the next level? But again, my team come up with sometimes things that even surprises me. And that idea came up, and I think they executed it extremely well. I'm very proud of it. And, I love chronographs, so I'm really very, very privileged to have that around my wrist for the entire week.
Wonderful. Thank you for setting the record straight. 2004 double, 2018 triple. The future is your oyster. And I can understand why you decided to put this watch at the very centerpiece, the heart of your stand. So I'm going to show a little video now of, I promised at the beginning, what it's like to actually come to the Salon. This is what it's like to walk into the Lange Söhne booth at the 2018 Salon.
Yeah, right, that's Robert. You remember him?
Robert, we like him.
He pretends to work. All the guests coming, and that's what we call the Saxony Lounge. It's actually the home base of many people, because you can always have a drink, and you not be bothered if you don't like to be bothered. That's the centerpiece, and you will recognize the dial is actually faced to the Saxon Lounge, not to the general public, and that's the first time that we do it like this. So this is the watch, 5 meters diameter, about a ton heavy. So we had to work with SIHH with, the whole construction is solid enough. And this is really in solid metal, the original movement. Before somebody raising the question, that can't work in reality. So it just looks like.
And has it worked well as a hook to draw people in?
I have to submit, yes.
Yes. Good choice then. So it's like an introduction to the other new introductions, which is a wonderful time to look at these. Now, these are your new debut this year. Do you have any favorites, or is it like being a parent, you're not allowed to choose your favorites? Which ones have caught your eye?
I love chronographs. I think they're all great watches. But there are two that, because I like chronographs, that sort of stick out for me, which is the 1815 chronograph flyback. That's if you take the triple split in the center, that's the one left. I think these two watches, you know, that's it for me. But no, luckily we always structured in a way that there is an answer for everybody and not just for me. The world would be a boring place if it's only my taste. So there are different answers, different pricing segments, different questions for different customers. And if you go left from right, you know, it's a beautiful moon phase. If you just want a simple watch, what do you need? The date and the time, which I would then say is the second.
And you're being very kind to the people who requested black watch faces. That's
yes.
a very generous offer.
Look, it's requested.
It's requested.
You know, if you want it really elegant, we turn to because we talked about the jumping second. Mm-hmm. We go to the right, so you have the azurine dial in the Saxonia thin. You know, one can argue whether that's a tuxedo, a black tie watch, or whether it's for ladies. That's why we call it unisex, so we don't have to give an answer. And certainly, the watch on the right-hand side, which is a little Lange one, I admit we are guilty in the past because we very likely have designed watches that the husband buys for the wife. This watch is designed and constructed in a way that is an answer for ladies that want to buy a watch for themselves, so that really understand what we do. But before anybody says, do you focus on ladies' watch, I again apologize. We probably will produce 150 of them, so no.
No, it's a very short and honest answer there. So, obviously, one of the highlights for 2018 for Lange Söhne is that auction in May. But what else is coming up in 2018? What are you promising the market?
Many surprises.
Many surprises.
Yes, we're known for this. So if I would not say anything, I would steal that, and I'd rather don't.
Okay, so we will see if the audience are confident in your predictions there, because we can now throw it open to questions. So put your hand up in the air and someone will run towards you with a microphone and we will get a question. There's only about 400,000 people watching. Have no fear. You might as well. But yes, so tell us more about that auction while we wait for a question, because if they don't ask questions, that means they trust everything you say and you have made no mistakes and they believe entirely in your brand. No hands in the air.
I like that.
I like that indeed.
Good.
So that's a 100% vote in our Lange Söhne and their CEO, Wilhelm Schmidt. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll hand back to Bruno. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What a great story. This ends the program for today in the studio of the Salon. We are going to be back tomorrow morning at 10:30 in the morning with the first session. Tomorrow is the public day at the Salon. There will be the general public coming in. And the first session will be with the president of the Fédération Horlogère Suisse, Jean-Daniel Pache. We're going to look at the state of the market for Swiss watchmaking. Thank you for coming and watching, and good evening.